losses. Now, I looked at your report, and I want to use that report as a backdrop for a news report that came in today. Now, we went back into the TARP history here. We know the first intent that Congress had, purchase toxic assets, which were mortgage-backed securities. We were told keep people in their homes. Well, the administration threw that out the door, last administration. Then we were told we're going to switch the TARP funds to help bail out the banks, direct capital infusion. But I think something else has happened here, and I want to make sure it doesn't escape this committee, and I hope that you can tell me it hasn't escaped your notice. We're now seeing that we have another switch that's occurred, that we actually have the Fed paying banks not to use their, quote, excess capital to make loans. I direct your attention to a news report today, which says that banks' excess reserves at the Fed rose to a record $877.1 billion daily average in the 2 weeks ended May 20th, from $2 billion a year earlier. Excess reserves, money available for lending that banks chose to leave with the Fed instead, averaged $743 billion in the first 2 weeks of this month. Sir, the Fed is paying banks higher interest rates now to keep their funds parked at the Fed instead of loaning the money to the American people. Is that not true?
Yes, and the reason I opened up the book is that on page 142 of our chart, of our report, we actually have a chart that depicts exactly what you're saying.
Tell me about the chart, and tell this committee about that chart.
It shows the increase in the amount of money that's being parked at the Federal Reserve over time. We link it to one of the Fed programs, a different program, but another program that we do think that there is a connection between the Federal programs and the increased reserves that are being held there.
If the banks had not received this direct capital injection as a result of the TARP funds, is it conceivable that they would have, according to this news report, averaging $743 billion in reserves parked at the Fed? Is that possible they could have had that?
It may be, but only because of all the other programs that we detail in Section 3 of the report.
All the other programs, meaning government programs that have helped to sustain the banks, right?
It would certainly appear to be the case.
See, members of the committee, first we started out with being told that money was going to mortgage-backed securities. They did a bait-and-switch on that. Then we're told it's being used to bail out the banks so we could have a loosening of credit through a direct capital infusion. Now, you and I know that there are businesses in our communities who are credit-starved. Meanwhile, the Fed is paying banks a premium to keep their money parked at the Fed instead of loosening it up. This is one fraud after another on the American people. Now, they might use the excuse, well, they're trying to control inflation. Check it out. Unemployment skyrocketing. Businesses can't get money, so they're laying off more people. And we're thinking that somehow we've solved the problem here. I want to submit for the record this report out of the Bloomberg News Service, and I want to ask Mr. Borofsky.
Without objection.
Thank you. I want to ask Mr. Borofsky. This money is fungible, as we know.
Yes.
But generally speaking, you would agree that there's just no question that a significant part of the money that's being parked at the Fed right now is government money, that money from these government programs that Congress created.
I mean, I think we'd have to look institution by institution, but I think if we did so, I wouldn't disagree with what you're saying.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, I hope that we can get another hearing on this particular matter, because this goes to the heart of the entire bailout program. One thing after another, one bait-and-switch after another.
And Congressman Kucinich, in our audit, I think we described, the banks have communicated to us this tension as well, that they feel that's really right in line with your comments, and that is that on the one hand, they're getting pressure to increase lending and get this capital out there, but they're also getting pressure from the regulators to maintain the capital and increase their
regulators
capital cushions.
Read Fed.
The Fed and FDIC, OCC, and OTS. And indeed, that's what a portion of the stress tests were. So I think that is a very real dichotomy.
I thank the Chairman.
Thank you very much.